everyone wants out of it. One of the things I did before I left town, I met with most of the people that I had quality relationships with for, we met for lunch or dinner. No exaggeration, man, 90% of them, before I even brought it up, were talking about how they wanted to leave the country.
All I see lately on social media is how flawed the US is and how it's absolutely tanking and people want to get out of there as fast as possible. I personally am not from the States, but I wanted to understand why so many people are leaving. So in today's video, I'm going to be interviewing Brett from Atlanta, Georgia, about the reasons that caused him to leave his home of the US and move to Medellin, Colombia. Brett, thanks for coming on today, bro. I know that a lot of people feel exactly the way that you feel about living in the US. First of all, can you just tell us which place you're actually from in the US?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I was in Atlanta for about 20 years or so before I moved to Medellin.
Your frustrations with living in the US, man, what was one of the things that you were really fed up with over there?
First and foremost, man, the hustle and grind culture in America is just out of control. And I have no desire to prove to people that I can outwork them. I've done all that. You just get nothing from it.
Can you tell me in your own words what you mean when you said hustle and grind culture?
You know the rat race, man. It's like you're in a competition with everybody to see how hard you can work. And that's just not sexy to me.
So what was one of your days like when you were living in Atlanta and part of this hustle and grind culture?
Everybody's day there are pretty similar, man. You wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock, hit snooze a couple of times, stare at your phone, roll out of bed, head to the gym, come back, make coffee, get dressed, sit in traffic to get to your job. You work 8, 10, 12, 14 hours of work a lot of times that you just don't want to do. Then you go sit in traffic again, go home. A lot of people are in unhappy relationships because everybody's overworked and stressed out. So you go home, you're arguing with your significant other, right? Have a few drinks, watch some TV, walk your dog, pass out, go to bed, and repeat it all over again.
In the US especially, what's in the culture that makes everybody live like this? Why is nobody happy, and why do people not live a relaxed lifestyle, doing what they want to do? Rather they just like live this kind of day that you just described?
Because it is the endless pursuit of the dollar. You're constantly chasing this dollar so you can impress people, acquire these things that you don't even need. Once you get them, they mean nothing. They do nothing for you. Everybody is so focused on being the star of the show. Hey, everybody, look at me. Look at what I have. Look at this. Most people acquire everything through debt. You're doing all this work just so you can pay off this debt for shit you don't even need.
Would you say most people are buying and accruing this debt and getting stuff, possessions, to impress, people on social media rather than actually getting it to make themselves happy?
Oh, completely. Yeah, you're taught from a young age that you need these things to be happy. And then you start seeing the people around you with some of it. So you're constantly seeing, different examples of people accumulating and acquiring wealth and nice things and these things that you think are going to change your life or make you happy. And then you get them and they don't do shit. It doesn't change anything.
So you're a pretty successful guy with your business, right? Out there in Atlanta. You had a lot of nice things and possessions.
Mhm.
Were you happy when you had them?
No. Like you get them, you're excited for 48 hours, a week or two, then before you even realize it, people are coming up to you and they're complimenting you on something that you forget you even have. And it's like, oh, thank you. I appreciate it, but it doesn't do shit for me.
One of the big problems, I think, with this culture, man, it's all about being better than everybody else and flashing, whether it's clothes or money or cars or your house. And in the end, you're just sitting in your car and your clothes and your house and fucking crying because it sucks. The hustle and grind culture is a big one that I think a lot of people watching will relate with. I've spoken about it in many, many of my videos. I just hated that life, man. And it's good to see that people like you are doing something about it. By the way, guys, Brett was actually one of our masterclass students. He took our course and we helped him move to Medellin, Colombia. If you'd like some help doing the same thing, then just click the link in the description. There you'll be able to book a free discovery call with us and we can discuss the best way of getting you over here. Can we talk a little bit about some other frustrating factors about the US that caused you to leave?
Well, I think the entitlement is just out of control. I don't know if you've ever heard the term main character energy, right? But everybody thinks they are the main character of the show. So you've got all these people that are moving around the country in completely selfish ways. You're either helping them accomplish their goals or you're in their way. It's out of control there, man.
Very individualistic, would you say?
Oh, completely. Completely. It's bled into every facet of life there.
How would that affect your life when you're living in the US? All these people around you going about their day, me, me, me.
It's incredibly difficult to connect because everything becomes transactional. And if every relationship you have is transactional, that's just a completely unhealthy environment. It's impossible to be happy in that because nobody cares about each other. They just care about what you can do for them.
And then once you can't do any more, you're done.
Yeah, then they move on. I mean, look, you do have some quality relationships, but for the most part, everyone is just, what can you do for me?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. What else?
The cost of living is out of control. It's out of control. You're not really getting anything for your dollar, right? And look, I made a nice living. I was living a nice life, but you get no value in return for what you spend. The prices of everything is going up. The businesses don't eat any of that cost. They just pass it along to you. So you're spending a ton more money and sometimes getting far less in return than you used to get. You're not spending more money to get what you normally got. You're spending more money to get less.
How much were you spending every month in Atlanta?
Man, I'd say top to bottom, all of my expenses were probably closer to 8, 9, 10 grand a month. Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you have an amazing life with that?
I mean, look, man, it was nice. I lived on the top floor of my building. I guess you could call it a penthouse. I lived in a corner unit. I had great views.
Were you in a nice suburb?
I was in a nicer area than most parts of the city. My car was paid off.
For you to replicate that life that you had in Atlanta for 10K a month, how much do you think that would cost you here in Medellin where you live now?
To get close to the lifestyle I was living there, which was costing me between 8 and 10 a month, I'd say here it'd probably be about 4.
50 to 60% cheaper.
Oh yeah. And that's a lot of stuff you don't need. Added convenience, added leverage, nice experiences. You don't need all those things. You can do that in a much more cost-effective way here.
4 or 5K in Medellin is pretty much unnecessary. You can get by on much less. But hey, man, whatever you need to do to enjoy life, huh? The next thing you want to talk about was unhealthy living.
Oh man. It's almost impossible to get a high quality of life in America. Most people don't really experience decent balance between work, life, family, et cetera, until they're retired.
I can't believe that people still think this way. They think, oh, I'm going to work as hard as I can, 60, 70 hours a week, kill myself until I have some savings and I retire when I'm 65. Then I'm going to start living. Your best years are not 65 and over. Our best years are now when you're young, healthy, you can travel around, you can do whatever you want, right? So why do people sacrifice these years believing in this philosophy that 65, I'm going to enjoy the final years of my life?
Because it's literally what you're taught from your adolescence. It's what you're taught as a child. I'll enjoy life when I'm retired. You spend all this time working, thinking that I'm going to get to do the things I want to do when I'm 65 or 75. Who the hell wants to do it then? I want to do it now.
People don't have free thought over there in the US. Because, man, I was like 25 years old. I wouldn't consider myself the smartest, most insightful man of all time. But even then I thought, hang on a sec, I got to wait till 65 to actually live. Fuck that. I'm going to do the shit now. Why do people not think like that?
I think there are very few people that are truly wired to think outside of the box and to think freely. No offense. Most people are sheep. Most people are stuck in the same line of thinking, the same rut, the same routine day in and day out. They're kept so busy and so distracted that free thought doesn't get a chance to enter into their mind.
Those are some serious frustrations that probably a lot of people are feeling or have felt in the past. You've been in Colombia about 4 months, 5 months. Tell me, how is your life different here?
My quality of life is through the roof. I have far less distractions. I don't even have to think about money. It's not something that even crosses my mind. I can go do whatever I'd like to do. I'm surrounded by people who don't view me in a certain way because I'm this color or this gender. There are so many less things that you have to think about on a daily basis. They don't even factor in here. It improves the quality of your life so much because the people are so friendly, man. They want to get to know you. They say hello. In America, You walk down the street and you say hi to somebody, they're gonna look at you like, man, what do you want?
I spoke about this in my last video. That's like one of the things I love living here is like you can talk to anyone at any time and you can have a nice conversation with a stranger. Whereas in other countries, they're just like nod and keep moving. Don't talk to me. You know what I mean? It's like I'll be nice enough to acknowledge you, but after that, I don't want nothing to do with you, which is kind of sad because how else are you supposed to make connections?
Look, I'm still learning how to speak Spanish, man, and I can still connect with people. It's really a beautiful place.
I'm glad that you found something that you love. And also, I'm glad that you were a free thinker, not just a sheep, and realized I got to do something about my life if I get stuck here forever. So good on you, man.
I appreciate that, man.